So, what do you guys think? I'm trying out this one plugin that I'm looking at right now. It's called Dehancer, and the video editing software that I'm using is DaVinci Resolve Studio. And I like to find something that is very quick in color grading and make it look like film, because I tend to use a lot of nodes and LUTs to make it color grade my images and footages. So a little side note before going forward with this long video. The Dehancer tool is actually a film emulation tool. So the company did a lot of research and development in building the profiles, the film stocks, and sampling of an actual real analog media. And with this Dehancer, you can actually achieve Hollywood film looks, the stuff that you'd see in theaters, that is very hard to do. And you can turn your videos from to 70s film look or a VHS tape. A little bit of full disclosure is that I'm giving my honest review of this plugin and based on my hands-on experience. So basically anything goes. If there's any problem that I encounter or something that I don't like, I'll say it. And if you happen to like this product, you can use the discount code PhotoVideoist. If you happen to purchase it, some of the commission will help me out for my YouTube content or any content that I push out here. If you like to know more about a Dehancer, you can check out their website, dehancer.com, and also follow their social media. We're gonna dive right into it and test it out with some more footages that I just randomly picked. The camera that I currently use is a Nikon Z5, the Panasonic Lumix G85, the Panasonic GH5. So my color profile settings in all three of those cameras is natural color profile. I didn't do any logs or S-logs or anything like that. I just want to basically just record something straight out of the camera. A little bit different about this review on this plugin is that I want to provide my computer specs. A lot of videos out there reviewing this product, they all say that it takes a lot of resources from your computer. And the thing is, I like to know what resources is it really taking. Because on that plugin, there's a lot of things that you can enable. Some of that part of the plugin won't really take a lot much of your resources from your computer. So we'll dive into that too. So currently my computer setup is I'm running on a Windows 11 and AMD Ryzen 7 5800X is an 8-core CPU, 64 gigabyte of memory. All drives are in a solid state drive. And the most important of all is a 12 gigabyte RX 6750 XT graphic card. It's a Radeon. If you can find something equivalent to NVIDIA, 12 gigabyte is a good way to go. If you want to edit 1080p timeline, it's excellent. 12 gigabyte is pretty good at 4K. Also, another important thing is your power supply. Your power supply should be, I'd say, at least 850 watts. So that's important. Later on, we'll get to the website, how much the pricing is going to be. And also later on, I'll talk about who this plugin is for. So let's get right into it. Okay, so here is my DaVinci Resolve 18.6. So currently I have two folders in here. One is Nikon footages and one is a Panasonic. And when I'm creating my project timeline, I always set it up to click on this project timeline, go to color management. I always put it on DaVinci Y RGB color manage. I uncheck this and I choose the HDR DaVinci Y Gamut intermediate. And for my output color space, I actually choose Rec 2020 Gamma 2.4. The reason being I use 2020 is because recently I just heard that Nikon color profile, it's a Rec 2020 would be a good one. I tend to use Rec 709, but actually it looked pretty good when I tested it out. So, and at the same time I tested out my Panasonic and it actually looked pretty good too. So let's see, master settings. Oh, master settings, there you go. For this video I'm putting at 1920 by 1080p and 24 frames per second. That is fine, so we can speed up the process of editing. And I would always change the work folders to another drive because it always defaults at your C drive. I would put in another drive where you have a lot more storage, because otherwise if you start editing and then allow the cache, it'll fill up your C drive and suddenly you don't have enough space. You have no more space to do your playback or cache or anything like that. You probably jump into or get into issues. So yeah, so that's save, and then let's go to preferences here really quick and make sure that you set up your memory configuration. Since I have 64 gigabyte of memory, I just like basically put it at 40 gigabyte, so the remaining gigabyte would be saved for something else. And I just keep this thing as auto. So I mean, you can dedicate it to this, but I want the machine to take care of itself and just make its own decision. So, but it's up to you if you do want to put it in the GPU only. So, but yeah, so I'll leave it like that. So save it for now. Alright, so now we are here. Let's go check out the Nikon, right? So this is the Nikon footage. I'm gonna go grab just a clip of this. This is from Nikon Z5. There's the I think it was Fan Expo last year when I videoed it. So that's how that thing looks like. And the Dehancer, you can actually apply it on the clip itself, or you can apply it on the Dehancer on an adjustment layer and apply that effect on top of this clip. But what I prefer is going to the node tree. There you go. So I click on this color grading panel. Normally you'd add a lot more nodes in here. When I do my color grading, I have a lot more nodes, but Dehancer prefers to put it on the last node. Before that, I would do the color space transform in the beginning and second to last. So let's put in the beginning first, and color space transform I would put it in here, and then select the Rec 2020, and on the input gamma I would choose gamma 2.4, and output color space I would put it in DaVinci Wide Gamut. Output gamma I would put it on DaVinci Intermediate. So it looks very muddy. And then in here I would do the same thing, similar, except it's a little bit reverse. So input color space would be DaVinci Wide Gamut. Input gamma would be DaVinci Intermediate. And then the output color space, instead of Rec 2020, this time I'll do Rec 709, because that's like the most standard thing, right, in the industry in terms of colors. So output gamma, then I would do gamma 2.4. Boom, there you go. It's almost like you don't need to edit anything and you're done. You can call it a day. No, I'm just kidding. You can color it, tweak it however you want, but this one has been working well for me. So now we're gonna go for the Dehancer. So by going down here, you have this film emulation, Dehancer Pro. Let's apply that to this clip. See how that look like. So see how muddy this thing goes, the noise and everything like that. What you'd want to do first is on the input, you would change it to DVR WG Intermediate. And then this is the part where everyone's saying how it's hogging the resource of your computer. So first let's minimize all this stuff, because there's a lot of stuff to to dive into on this app, on this plugin. Let's turn a lot of this thing down. See, these are kind of stuff that you'd get, you know, all these things just in Dehancer alone. And at the same time, let me check my profile, see if there's any updates from the website. Sometimes also I do have some updates that's downloaded. Oh, cool, looks like it's all 100%, so that's perfect. All right, so now for the resources, right? So let's go ahead, and since I have an AMD, I don't know what other software you guys prefer when it comes to resources, but this is how I check out my stuff. So I click on Home, Performance, and then I turn on the overlay. There you go. Having that overlay in there, let's close this thing out. You see a little thing in here, right? So the one that you want to pay attention on is the GPU power, 3840 watts. So this is the power draw that your GPU is grabbing from your power supply. And this is the one that determines which part of the Dehancer is the one that's taking a lot of resources when you play back. So this thing fluctuates. If it goes like 50, 60, that's pretty good. That's normal in terms of the effects that you're going to enable. If it goes 100, 90, or over 100 or 150, that means that one thing that you're enabled in your Dehancer is the one that's taking a lot of resources. Right now, this is the default. I didn't really turn off anything except we just changed this. Let's do a playback. Press play. See? 94, 90, yeah. So the default that already is enabled on this Dehancer is you already have film enabled, and you already have, I believe, expand, and then print, and the rest are disabled except film grain. So the first thing you want to turn off is film grain, because that's the one that is really tasking your GPU or your computer resources, quote unquote. Now let's see, let's go press play, and then you'll see the difference. 62, it's not even hitting 100. There you go. 54, so you're normal. Now let's turn on the grain, and this also affect your playback if you don't have a faster computer. See, there you go, that's the one that's doing it. I tested out the other emulation on here. I enabled, disabled it. The one that's really taking the task is the film grain, definitely the film grain. And the others, halation, bloom, film damage, film breath, gate weave, overscan, print, you know, expand, and all these stuff, they play around 40 to 80. And imagine they all stack up too. So the more you turn on in here, the more it gets, you know, tasking, quote unquote, on your computer. So at least now you guys are aware. Now let's get on to the color grading. So normally I would turn off, I would close out all these windows, and I would turn off the noise first, the film grain, because we'll use the film grain last. That's how you want to turn on. You want to turn that thing on last, you know, then suit to the taste, right? So after changing this in the input, Film Developer is available for you if you ever want to go for it, but normally I don't really touch it so much. From time to time you can play around with it. Film, it defaults as the Vision 3 250D. I kind of like the Kodak Gold 200. Yeah, there's a lot more in here that you can choose. It's like you have to play around with it, you know. So Kodak 200, where is that Kodak 200? I just personally like it. Where is it? Looks like I lost it. Here we go. Gold 200. And then the cool thing is you can also do a push-pull kind of thing. So it kind of adjusts it. And this one, film compression, I always enable it. You can play around with it too, with the slider. Basically what this is, based on my understanding, is anything that is like overblown out highlights, it brings it down all across the image, and so it's not overwhelming. And the expand, that's already automatically enabled. We can adjust that too. Sometimes it depends on how you have that look that you like. Print, so this is another one. There's like a 5 different print that you can put in. One's glossy paper, one's print film, a Kodak 2083. From what I hear, this is the gold standard for everything. Fujifilm, Cineon film, linear, and let's go put in. So yeah, the Kodak 2383 print film is the most common one that's being used. And at the same time, you can go to the color head. This is kind of like another way for you to color grade. You just enable it, and obviously we all know the film grain, and there's so many more that you can choose from, and you can also custom make it too as well. And you can always add the halation. You can enable it. So let's enable this thing right now. You probably see a little bit of halation in there. If you really want to pronounce it, you turn on you select like anything that has no rim jet, then you get to see it. So it's pretty cool. And then you can custom make it too, however you like as well. You can, increase it, decrease it. So you can definitely play around with this thing. It's pretty cool. I really like it. If you want to add like a little bit of that style. So for now, let's go ahead and disable that because I don't need it for now. And bloom, this bloom, similar to halation but not really. It's almost like you're putting, I would say, like a black mist filter on your video. So it's like an emulation. So if you enable it, you'll see it like the little highlights in here. There's like a little bit of bloom on it, and you can always increase it, lower it. I believe DaVinci Resolve both have bloom and halation as one of their effects, but it's not really the real deal. It's like digital way. For Dehancer, this is the proper way because it's emulating the real film. But yeah, you can definitely enable that and disable it, play around with it. It's really cool. I really like the result of how it looks like when turning on the bloom. Film damage. So there's another really cool thing where it adds that little bit of, film damage in it, like a little jitter. So if you press play, you'll probably see it, see that little dust and scratches. So it's pretty cool. I really like it, and you can change and custom make it to 8mm, 16mm. You can customize it. So for now, based on this, I actually don't need it, but you can definitely turn it on if you're one of those filmmaker aficionados. Film breath. So I don't know too much about film breath, but from what I could understand is that when a video is being when film is being transferred on film footage, sometimes there's this mistakes that happens, that is overexposure or underexposure a little bit. So it's like a little bit of flicker kind of in a way, from the way I understood it. And you can play around with this if you know how to use it and know how to apply it on your film or your videos. By all means, turn that thing off for now. The gate weave, I don't know much about it either. It could be something along the lines like a little shaky. So, I mean, I know I said jitter earlier, but shaky is, I don't know, it's like a little bit different too. So, I mean, here's my footage. Let's see if we can see any difference if I click on this. Enable. There's like a little bit of jitter on it or some kind of flicker on it. So it adds that little bit of like shakiness. I think that's what gate weave is. But you can adjust it if you understand the term. Go for it. Plus you have overscan. This one's pretty cool. If you just want like a little static effects on your thing. Let's zoom out of here. You have that little film gate thing. You can change it to different size, so it's almost like a film thing, filmic look. You can turn it to positive, so it looks like that. So I mean, it's nice. It's a cool effect. Widescreen. Typically, the widescreen one is the typical one. If you have 1080p film or video or 4K, I think this one is the one that you would really want to use. Oh, hey, cool, look at that. See how that look. I see some effects like that sometimes. So yeah, so that's what overscan is. I'm gonna disable it for now. You also have the vignette, and the vignette, I know DaVinci has it too, but I think this vignette is the real deal as well. On the filmmaking, this like the emulation of the real thing. So I mean it's pretty nice. I mean, you know, I like it. But to me, honestly, if you don't want your computer to be using up a lot of resources, I would just use the local vignette effect. Probably might not taking as much resources. If there's certain effect that you want to use in here, I would sacrifice this and use another one. Monitor. So this is like the false color monitor. I actually don't know how to use it, but one day I'll study it. Output. The output is basically, let's say you apply your effects. It's like an opacity. That's the way I see it. You know, if you turn it to 0, it's 0 opacity, you know. And this kind of like opacity. So that's the other way I would translate it. Then you have the LUT generator. So the LUT generator, you can do LUT size small or normal. You just do small. So in DaVinci Resolve, it actually exported as the dot cube. So let's say there's something in here that you like, that you turned on, it will create a LUT for you that you can put in your LUT folder. The only thing is, I don't think it will do the generated kind of particles like film damage, because that's like generated, and film grain, you know, that's actually being generated on the film itself. But the others, like colors, possibly bloom, inhalation, and other stuff, maybe those would work because they're not like generated. They're just kind of like, you know, emulating it as it is. So yeah, so that's all the effect that we got in here. So as you can see, this these are before and after. Let's go to before and after, and if I turn this thing off, that's just a color space transform. Turning this thing on, you know, it adds a pretty cool effect. Well, now, you know what, let's try adding the film grain, right? I mean, everything looks pretty good from here on my take. I mean, I can adjust it. Let's go try adjusting a little bit. So let's do this, making it a little brighter. Temperature, change the temperature. Oh, that looks nice. Adding a little bit of tint in there. There you go. Defringe, that's also another thing that would actually add on to the resources. I tested this thing out. This one is actually kind of like reduce the chromatic aberration. That's the way I see it. So film developer, I don't need to do that much. Gold, somehow I like this look already. Let's add a little. Wait, there you go. Film compression, that's already enabled. Expand, so this one's good too. I like the expand. It adds a little bit more contrast than on the black side and the white side, you know. It looks nice. This one, target white on the print. This is how I would play it. This is how I do it. I'm like, oh, hey, it looks pretty cool. I like it, you know. And tonal contrast, color density. This is like how, you know, dense the color will be. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of saturation on that. There you go. Look at that. It's looking really nice. And finally, let's go add like a little bit of film grain on this thing, right? So add a film grain. This one I think is a little too harsh for me. But 35 ISO 250. I mean, it's pretty good. I like it. I would just put it to 0. So there's like a little bit of grain, but not so much. See if I don't know if you would see it. Notice this grain. If I turn it off, that's how smooth the video is. Now if I turn it on, it adds a little bit of grain. So I mean, let's go ahead and play this thing out, right? And at the same time, while we're at it, take a look at this GPU power, how much resource this thing takes. So there you go, it's 99 watts. So it's not bad. So it's almost like I have a lot more headroom to add more stuff into this. So yeah, now let's try another clip, but this time instead of like adding all these stuff, I want to try out actually using Dehancer only as the node. So let's do that, right? Let's go ahead and let's try so we use a Nikon video footage. Let's do a Panasonic one. Let's probably a G85. Let's do a G85. This is a G85 camera. Let's see if I could. I'll just pick up something here. This is an import face-off that I covered last year as well. It's pretty cool. Drifting event, car show stuff. So we have a really good model here. Shout out to Diamond. Alright, now let's go ahead and color grade this with just a dehancer on the node. So we all know the default looks like this. Let's go turn the film grain off. Don't need that now. And let's change the input source to intermediate, like I've mentioned earlier. On the film, let's change that to Kodak Gold 200 because that's how I like it. Film compression, enable it. You can always adjust it. And this one, the Kodak 2383 print film. So far, here's what we have before and after. Before and after. Alright, now let's try color grading this and make it look good, right? So target the white. See that. Exposure. This. Tonal contrast. Okay. Color density. Add. I wonder if it's 100. There you go. Alright. Now let's try to do maybe a little bit of film push and pull on the film. That was pretty nice. I like that. And now let's try the temperature compensation and exposure compensation here. Let's do the exposure first. I like to be a little bit brighter. Temperature comp. Ooh, that looks. I like that one. That looks pretty nice. Add a little bit of tint. All right. That looks nice. I like that. A little bit of expand again. The white point. So there's the now and the before and now. Look at that. Huge change. Alright, let's try this, right? So I know we have film grain, but let's try color head. We haven't really tried color head yet. So this is the another way to kind of like white balance your stuff. So first off, let's enable this. Then you can adjust the yellow blue hue. There you go. Because I know that day was pretty hot. So let's turn it a little bit hot. Then this one, magenta green. We'll add a little bit of magenta in there. Cyan red. There you go. Let's add a little bit of that. Then the shadow tone. This one kind of looks like the log color grading in here. So I can see if we can adjust that. Oh, okay, mid-tone range. That's pretty cool. Highlight. Alright. And this is the before and this is the after. Now let's see the playback for this. I was adjusting my video on this one because I had that ND filter on. There you go. That looks pretty nice. Let's add a little bit of film grain on it, right? So let's enable that, but I would like to maybe do it 16mm. That's like really noisy right here. Let's turn it all the way down. I mean, there's still some noise, but I think it's pretty cool. It adds a little bit of nostalgic look. Let's try that. And keep an eye on the GPU draw too, so you know how much it takes. Now let's put in a full playback so we get to see it fully. Then you can also keep an eye on this GPU draw. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And there you have it, folks. So that's the way to use my way of using Dehancer on a node tree and also on just in one node. So, and you might be asking, okay, so who does this apply to? So I would say it applies to everyone really. It's, I mean, as soon as I jumped into it, it's kind of easy to use. So instead of like having all this complicated adding nodes and all this stuff and doing color grading, this one makes it simpler. I mean, you saw it. I just added a dehancer in one node and you can color grade it right there and then, you know. And as I have mentioned, you have to have the two, I'd say two important component into your on your PC or your machine. One is the GPU card, the graphic, the graphic card, and basically having at least 12 gigabytes of RAM, video RAM, and also the power supply. Because in order for your graphic card to power draw more watts, you need to have a beefy power supply as well. So I'd say 800 watts or higher. So don't skimp on those power supplies. Otherwise, your computer will just shut off, or you'll get into, basically you'll just crash your application, right? So overall, that's my thoughts on it. I really like it. If you're very knowledgeable as a filmmaker, this is the way to go. Now, the only downside I have with this software is it's very pricey. So if you're like me, I tend to, if I want something, I save up, and that's what I did to the DaVinci Resolve. That thing is originally free. 2 years ago, I was using it for free, and I loved it so much that I went ahead and saved up, did a couple of gigs, and I just purchased it. The cool thing is you have free upgrade forever. So, and I think it's a similar thing for Dehancer. So let me pull up the website so you guys can see. So here's the website, dehancer.com, and as you can see, these are all the information they have about that film look. You can download and get the free trial. The trial would be good for 1 month. They'll give you an activation key. But if you ever want to purchase it, you can definitely use my discount code, minus 10% discount. The discount code is PhotoVideoist. You probably would see it in the screen. And this Dehancer, the one that I'm currently testing out is the Dehancer Pro. And these are all the stuff that you can use. And the price is obviously lifetime with 2 seats. That's like 2 license. You pay $449. The cool thing about the lifetime is there's forever updates. You're not gonna have to pay for upgrade or anything like that until maybe, I don't know, maybe the business goes out of business. You can also rent it for like 1 year. There's other options, 6 months, 3 months. If you have a specific project that you need to do a specific film emulation, you can do this. And the discount code would definitely apply here as well. But in my opinion, if you don't need all these extra stuff, they have Dehancer Lite. If you're only focusing more on the film profiles like Kodak Gold 200 and the print stuff, and these are kind of stuff you get. And this one's more affordable, where you can do $199 for a lifetime, and the seats. So in my personal opinion, I would just get the light version. That's just me, right? So if you think this is a very, very steep price, this is worth it. $199 lifetime, you're all set. You have forever. The others are more a la carte, I'd say. You get the film grain, the bloom, the breath, the halation. This one's free. You can install it in your DaVinci, or and all these plugins is compatible in pretty much all platform. You have Linux, you have Windows, you have Apple, and yeah, so it's also, the plugin is for Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Final Cut Pro. The only thing that the discount code PhotoVideoist is not gonna work is on iPhone app. So they have their own price. Unfortunately, I can't test this thing out. I don't have an iPhone. I'm more of an Android guy. So hopefully one day they come up with an Android and I could test it out. And if they have it available, I'll make a review out of that too. But overall, this is the website. I hope you guys enjoy and learn something from this video. Make sure you hit that like and sub to my channel for more content, and make sure you guys follow the Dehancer social media platform as well, and check out their website at dehancer.com. Until then, see ya.